The sound quality from the built-in speakers on most televisions nowadays is really pretty hopeless, and to compensate for this, many people have bought themselves either a sound bar or, like myself, they've got a full surround system. But what do you do if one person in a house has significantly worse hearing than the other person? That's the situation that's affecting my parents at the moment, and I hope with this that I've found a solution. Now, in the past I had bought my parents a soundbar, hoping that this would help in some way, but after a couple of weeks they stopped using it because, like most soundbars, it was geared up for people who have normal hearing, who just want to hear louder explosions, a richer, bassier sound, but it didn't really do anything to make it easier to hear the person reading the news. Also, let's say it's the person sitting here that has difficulty hearing the television. But the person sitting here has perfectly good hearing. Turning the volume up loud enough so that this person can hear it makes it too loud for this person. Another problem with the sound from a television, whether you're listening to it through the built-in speakers, a soundbar or even a surround sound system, the main dialogue comes from where the screen is, all the way over there. Now, the person I'm speaking about has no difficulty hearing me when I'm talking to them on the phone, right up to their ear, but across the room, they would struggle a little bit more. So this particular product does a couple of things. Rather than just making the audio louder, although it is capable of that, it also has a dialogue enhancer to make the speech clearer. And most importantly, rather than leaving the audio over that side of the room, you bring this speaker with you and you put the audio where you're sitting. So let's get it out of the box and have a good look at it. I first became aware of this product when I was on the Sony Japan website, and it came up as one of those associated things to the thing I was looking at. I was actually looking at tape recorders, and it said if you're interested in this, then you might also be interested in this. And of course that's because they aim tape recorders more at the elderly market over in Japan, and this falls into that category. And I thought, wouldn't it be good if they sold that over in the UK? And I had a look and they did. It's just they don't publicise it very well. These pictures on the side of the box show the intended demographic for this product. Most of the people using it have grey hair. This chap watching his programme about kayaks, or is that a canoe? Someone will probably tell me. Grandma sitting here watching this programme about cats and dogs. I can recognise those two, using her Sony speaker while everyone else is listening to the TV speakers from the couch. And then this one, well, no one's got grey hair here. This chap just wants to listen to the football while he's doing the dishes. And the standout features are that with this speaker you can clearly hear the voice, it's got stable wireless connectivity, easy charging, and it will work with any TV as long as that TV has a headphone or optical output. Okay, let's go through what's inside the box. Now, I bought mine from Amazon in the UK, but this is the same package you get throughout Europe because we've got a number of different languages in the instruction booklet here. We've got a Euro plug and a UK plug, power adapter, effectively a 5V USB charger, which connects up to a USB A to micro B lead, and then we've got an optical lead, which is ideally the way you connect it up to your television, but failing that, you could always use the 3.5mm mini jack lead. Right, so here's what the speaker looks like when it's on its charging base, and looking at the rear of it, it seems like there's quite a lot of stuff going on, but it isn't that complicated. You don't tend to have to mess around with any of this. We'll just separate into its two halves and then have a look at the base to start with. So the pairing and reset button, I haven't had to use those at all. In the middle, that's where your power goes in, and then on the right, you can put your inputs from your 3.5mm mini jack, and your digital optical output from your TV goes into there. You can use them both and switch between them, but most people would probably just plug one thing into either of those two sockets. Okay, now moving to the rear of the speaker, let's go through the things on here, ignoring the rather obvious reset button on the left-hand side. Behind the cover on the right-hand side, we've got a 3.5mm mini jack headphone output, as well as a power input for a USB micro lead, which will charge the device while it's away from its base. And then we've got those other controls in the middle. We'll talk about voice zoom and auto volume. Voice zoom brings the voice out from the background. It makes it clearer. And it seems to be on as a default. And you can switch it off if you want, but the effect isn't unpleasant, it just makes things clearer, so I've left it switched on mine. But one thing I haven't used is automatic volume control. This is for if you've got an environment that's noisy, then you switch this on to two different levels of strength, and depending upon what it hears, it will boost the sound to rise above it. And finally, that remote setting button, that's for setting the device up to work as a universal remote control with your television. Now, the codes that are listed here seem just to be for TVs. They don't include any set-top boxes, so it's of limited use to me because I use a satellite receiver when watching television. But my parents, who watch everything through the built-in Freeview on their TV, it'll work fine for them. And those infrared commands are transmitted from this dark window which runs along the rear of the device, and of course that's pointing towards the television while the speaker is pointed towards you. On the bottom of both the base unit and the speaker you've got rubber feet at either end which stop them from moving around, and when it comes to charging it up it's a very simple matter of just putting one thing on top of the other. If you can use a cordless kettle, then you can charge one of these up. Now, as far as connecting it up to your TV goes, if possible, you want to use the optical lead for the best quality of sound. That's what I've used here. And then you might need to go into the menus on your television to make sure that it's outputting sound both over the TV's built-in speaker as well as that digital optical output. And switching it on is just a simple matter of popping up the volume control.
20 years F1 has returned there. Hamilton was quickest in practice one, teammate Valtteri Bottas.
And whilst you can use it when it's on the base unit, ideally you're going to take it over to where you're sitting and use it from there. So that's what I'm going to do here, but I'm also going to turn the TV's built-in speakers up to maximum so you can hear the difference between those and this small Sony speaker.
It's still all about opinions, isn't it? And the second opinion went against this man. A little over 10 minutes, probably a bit more now with that stoppage. No foul again on Neymar.
Now, there was one thing I was concerned about with this scenario. If Grandma's listening to her Sony speaker and everyone else is listening to the television's built-in speakers, and there's any slight delay transmitting that audio across to the Sony speaker, then there's going to be a weird echoing effect. Well, I needn't have been concerned because, as far as I can determine, there's no noticeable delay whatsoever.
Added time winner. Everybody thought at the start that we needed Kane to be at it, to be the Tottenham figure at his best, and what a start it's been, and that'll do them the power of good. You just saw from his post-match interview, he was absolutely buzzing, he was so pleased with himself as well as the result, and if we've got him in that kind of mood, he's the talisman, he can lift teammates around him.
Now, you could just use this as a way of getting sound to a set of headphones. You don't have to have the TV speaker or the speaker on this unit activated. Now, the speaker on the front has got stereo drivers in there, and that headphone output is a stereo mini jack as well. In fact, looking at the specs here, at the top left you can see the power output. It varies depending upon whether you're using it through the AC adapter or off the battery, and by the way, that battery lasts for 16 hours approximately on one charge. And if you're wondering about the transmission standard, it's at the top right there. It uses 2.4 gigahertz. Now, while the audio that comes out of this is clearer and louder and more well-rounded than using the TV's built-in speakers, I would still say that it's not the kind of thing you'd buy if you were looking for a really bassy sound. Now, while you don't have to use this as a universal remote control, I think if you do have a compatible television, it's definitely worth setting up. After all, another remote control in a place where you can find it is always a useful thing, and this one works well. It's nice and clearly laid out with well-labelled buttons. At the end of each day, when you're going off to bed, you can just put the speaker back on its charging station. It does only take 3 hours to fully charge to give you that 16 hours worth of continuous usage, but you might as well just leave it there overnight. You know where to find it in the morning. I've got to say, I'm incredibly impressed with this. The clarity of the sound that comes out of here, especially the dialogue, is second to none, really. And it's so easy to use as well with its large on-off button, big volume control. It's going to be perfect for my parents. I'll be going over there in a couple of weeks, so I won't be able to tell you exactly what they think about it until after then, but I'd say if you can't hear the audio that's coming out of here, you've got no hope of hearing it through anything else. This is as clear as I've ever heard spoken dialogue from a television. Now, I've actually grown quite attached to this. So I've had it about a week or so now, and I've been using it myself, even though it's not really designed, I think, for someone like me, but late at night, when the missus is in bed and I'm watching a television, rather than disturb her by turning the volume up so I can hear the dialogue on all these mumbly TV shows, I sound like an old person myself now, but I've been using this. It's perfect for that as well. I will say, if you walk away from the TV with it, just sort of over to the other side of the room, you'll start to get dropouts on the audio. You do really want to be line of sight, even though it's using RF. You don't want to be taking it like in the garden or anything. It wouldn't work for that. But I'm kind of almost considering getting one of these for myself. I've grown so attached to it, so that's something. If you want to look for one of these, well, I'll put a link to the Sony website in the video description text box, because it's not immediately obvious on there. There'll also be links in the text box to Amazon as well. It isn't cheap, it's £150, but for someone like my parents, that this will make the difference between being able to hear the TV and not hear the TV, then that's money, I think, well spent. Anyway, that's it for the moment. As always, thanks for watching.